Good morning and what's going on, my friends? Welcome to another Subie Shaves video with me on a beautiful day. Hashtag Team All Blade, hashtag No Blade Left Behind. Come on in, throw me a Subie smile, and all I gotta say is squad goals. Thank you for being here, for clicking in today's video, and for joining me. Hopefully wherever you're watching from today, you're drinking something cold, caffeinated, and you're sitting in a comfy chair ready for a shave. You know why I'm super excited. Today we have 48 hours of growth and we're gonna be knocking it down with some Frankenstein razors. We got the winning razor on deck today, and we're gonna be using the parts mishmash swapped over and kind of doing a Frankenstein style razor where we use the V2 and V1 parts kind of flipped. We've got the V1 top cap with the V2 base plate and the V2 handle, and then we've also got the V1 base plate with the V2 head cap and the V1 handle. You can see here there's some obvious glaring kind of differences between the two, right? The way the parts go together. You can see the pins are protruding on this base plate where they're not on this base plate. We're going to talk about the way they shave, if it's worth doing, and do they really make a difference when you combine the parts like kind of switched over. I'm really excited to be doing this today. It's going to be a lot of fun, right? We haven't done one of these Frankenstein kind of, they're just like kind of fun mashup videos, and I wanted to do it today with the winning razor because it's got a lot of vibe to it, right? Yeah, it's got a lot of buzz, a lot of discussion, and I'm really excited to see if this kind of changes the profile and the shave performance of either razors. It's going to be phenomenal. Today we're going to be using Hoffman's, and we're going to be using Hoffman's Affogato. I love this one. It adds a little pep to my day, adds a little zazz, and it reminds me of a latte. You got that vanilla-esque aspect to the coffee note to this, which gives it a sweeter kind of like really inviting, a little richer note to it, which I really like. It adds, you know, just something special to with that little bit of extra vanilla to it, right? Coming in from like the actual milk aspect of this. Really, really like this. I get that cream, and I do get the coffee note mixed. So depending on my mood, right? I've tested a lot of coffee scents over the years. This one for me, it just smells a little bit sweeter and a little bit more like inviting, right? It smells a little bit more like dessert rather than your just standard black coffee. I like this one a lot. Again, Hoffman's Affogato. We're going to be using that today. We've already got it lathered up, and we used our Yaqi. This is their brand new synthetic brush, and it's their Carmel handle. And I thought that just paired so well with the actual label from Hoffman's. I love this handle. It's beautiful. It kind of shimmers and shifts as you kind of turn it, right? It looks like cream mixing into coffee, which is really cool. I love how easy this soap is to generate. Look at how hydrated, thick, slick, and shiny this stuff is. And that's after we did the face shape. Love Hoffman's base. It really paints on super nicely. You can see here, goes on without any issues. And then we have lots of slickness, lots of hydration, and it just kept going. I mean, look at this stuff. It's really fun to play around with because you just keep kind of adding lather on top of the lather, right? It gets denser and thicker and thicker. Really cool stuff. Adds a lot of protection, a lot of thickness and slickness as it goes on. Really good stuff. All right, let's do this thing. I'm super excited to talk about it. I had the idea when we first got the razor and I sat them side by side. I was like, there's some glaring differences between the two different models, right? If you look at the top cap of the bevels, right? Look at the bevels of the actual top cap. They're substantially different, right? You have the V2 that's wider on the top, but then as it turns, you have less bevel. So that we have more bevel on this first version. And then the actual portion that interacts with the skin, right, is really different. You have with the V1 versus the V2, where you have like a little bit more bulbous portion on the V1. The V2 just kind of goes to a narrow slant. You can see that. Whereas you almost have like a little bit of extra curvature to the winning razor V1. That's just on the base plate now, or the top cap. When you look at the base plates, right, you obviously have the circles that don't really flow super well, whereas they've opened that up completely on the V2. You can see the pins are way longer on the V1 than they were on the V2, so they kind of protrude out. And then the handles, there's no words that can really describe how big of a difference this handle makes versus V1 versus the V2. The V2 handle, I think some of the best stuff that Jake Yates has turned out, personally, in my opinion. Look at this thing. Absolutely beautiful. It adds so much grip. It's ergonomic. I love that they've added different depths and lengths to the actual turn, so that it just adds all this grip this way. It doesn't even fill with lather, right? You don't lose control. Whereas this was entry level, like basic as you can be as far as the handle goes, and it is slippery. And as you polish it, which is commonly done, right, with this razor, most people were polishing them, right? It becomes even more slippery. So again, this is a razor I'm using a little alum today, but kind kind of why I wanted to do the side-by-side is because there's a lot of people out there that when they're going to use this razor, they're going to find that it has some blade fill to it. And I was curious if by swapping over the V1 to the V2, could it change the profile of the shave and make it worth, like, for people looking for an extremely mild shave? Because this is still going to be a more medium aggressive razor. In my opinion, it has enough blade fill to it. Now, these are very low gap and neutral razors. I want to call that out just first and foremost. They're not aggressive in it as like the specs, right? This is a 0.016 gap and a neutral blade exposure. Again, extremely, very, very small blade gap and very zero exposure to them. But they have a lot of performance. It is deceiving, and they are very, very smooth and close cutting razors just by themselves, right? If you were to assemble them the way they are supposed to be. Let's find out today together if one can shave faster or more better, smoother, and if changing the parts over does anything for the shave. I can tell you this, on the face shave, I was kind of perplexed. To be really honest, with the V2 cap, I was like, okay, I'm getting a little bit more blade fill than with the base plate, but the base plate obviously was clogging, right? I was having some issues because on the 48 hours of stubble, I could actually see a little bit of buildup. Well, then when I did the cross passes, I was still getting that buildup to flow up to through the lather. So it's hard to know if I was shaving and it was getting that much more performance over this model, right? Now, as I was shaving with this model, I could tell it had a lot less bladed like fill to it than the first version, but it flowed like the second version, which I kind of liked, but it had more blade fill than if you were to assemble the V1 all together by itself. So I was really surprised. I felt like this was more of like a common ground, like a middle ground, like kind of concept between the two. Let's start with that razor today, using that awesome brand new handle on the dome shave. Oh my goodness, look at this thing. Absolutely beautiful. If you haven't run over to Jake Yates' website, you should do it while you're watching this. He is turning out some awesome stuff, and his designs are just top notch. He really spends a lot of time fabricating and kind of thinking through each of the design aspects to the safety razor, right? I love that his story was that he saw the safety razor, what was being created today, and was like, I can do it better. I love that, and I love that he came in just swinging for the top of the chain, right? Top of the food chain. You can just say that. Look at the way it shaves. Now we're gonna try this. We're gonna see with the grain stroke, are we getting any shaving happening? I'm using Derby premium blades for a reason, because this razor was very, very much to the point where it did not like to shave with Derby premium blacks, right? It was so mild that with really mild blades, it didn't really shave closely. And today I wanted to see if I could change that up. Look at what it's doing to 48 hours growth. That's the V2 cap. Sorry, the V2 cap, or the V1 cap, excuse me, with the V2 base plate. So we're getting plenty of flow. It has some fill to it, and that's, again, with the grain. Yeah, it's a closer shaver, and that's why I was really surprised, because I didn't think it would make that big of a difference to just swap the base plate out, right? What I kind of wondering if it's what's happening with the V1 originally, right, was if buildup inside of the base plate, right, was causing the razor to lose performance as it was going, right? And that's why you don't get as much performance like with the grain, right? Because it was getting too much buildup, right, as it was doing this. I don't really know, but I can tell you this. When we have the actual, like on the razor to the skin science here says, this is shaving sweet. This is shaving awesome. Really close, really comfortable, and super easy, again, with the grain. And this is with the V1 cap and the V2 base plate. Now, I think a lot of people out there that bought the V1 razor for $30, right? When they sit them side by side, what they're gonna say is, well, yeah, obviously the V2 shaves better. It really does. It shaves faster, shaves closer, and it has more blade fill, it has more performance. But I think what if you were to do is you were to combine the two parts, right? You may end up finding you like this shave maybe more. I don't know. If you're a person that loves the first version but hates the clogging, this is a nice upgrade, in my opinion, and it does work. It does shave, and it does seem to be doing a really good job. Now, it has a taller profile to it. I want to call that out due to the bulbous nature of it, just barely. And because of that, I do find it is a harder razor right here, just barely. I have to do like almost a second cleanup pass right here around my ears. But take a look. I'm getting that little bit of drag that just kind of pulls the stubble into the actual blade and just gives you this kind of shave. My good buddy Lee, what he says is it hugs the skin like a race car, and I can't disagree with that, right? The performance of a race car in your hand. I like this a lot. Very, very, very nice. Smooth shaver. Very smooth. Maybe not as close. I will call that out. It definitely doesn't feel as close with just that single like 2.5 pass, right, that we get with the V2 razor. But again, I think for people out there that are looking for like a razor that has very, very minimal fill, or bought the V2 and are like, oh my goodness, versus V1, a lot more fill to it. If they swap those parts around, they may not even consider swapping those parts around, but it does work. And it does seem to add a little bit better flow and a little bit more performance to the original V1. I mean, with Derby Premium Blacks, this razor, again, I could never get it to shave well. And this is shaving much better than it originally did, and much smoother and much closer. So overall, awesome upgrade, even if you're just planning on doing a part swap. And maybe someday Jake will just offer the base plates, right? So you can just do the part swap. Really cool. Let's switch it around here. We're gonna grab the V2 cap with the V1 base plate. This is the one I was less excited about, right? To be really honest, because of the kind of buildup problems that the V1 base plate had. It's part of the reason I was so excited to see the V2 come out, because that base plate has been so heavily modified. But I'm telling you this, I'm getting shaving happening. I'm getting shaving happening. So maybe it's not a lather buildup. I don't really know. But the cap does seem to make a difference to a degree. You can see though, take a look here. It's not shaving quite as easy and quite as close as the other one did on the other side with the grain. Again, that's just looking at it, like kind of doing it with you guys. I've never done this before, so I was really excited to give this a try. I have no idea. I mean, that is still pretty close. Call me crazy, but that's still pretty close with the grain, with the V2 cap on the V1 base plate, which is part of the problem. That's how it did on the face. That's crazy. That's not what I anticipated at all, to be really honest. I thought it was going to be a much different shave side by side. But ultimately, see, this is the hard thing, is the winning razor was just such a good razor to start. And Jake has really made some huge strides and massive improvements on the razor. But overall, right, still a great razor in my opinion. I still like the V1. I was a person that when the V2 came out, I was so excited about it because I like the V1 so much, right? And this V2 cap with the V1 base plate, yeah, the one thing I will call out, I do feel like it has more grab to the skin, and it has a little bit more blade fill to it. Slightly more blade fill with just changing over, the base plate, or the top cap, I mean. I am definitely getting a smooth shave, very, very, very fast and very easy. Not a lot of work to that. So the cap definitely improves the glide. It changes the way that it feels on the skin. I want to call this out. I have heard people say the suction has been removed. It's been completely it no longer exists, right? Disappeared is the word I was going to use. But I don't think that's accurate. I think it still has a very, very, very specific skin feel to it. These ones that set the angle for you, right? When they contact the skin, they don't have that round curvature to the cap. So they have a very specific feel to them. And I want to call that out. They definitely still don't have a ton of suction, right? They've mitigated it, but it still feels very unique. And that's the kind of the term I used before, was unique. Wow. Very close shave. Very close shave on both sides. I honestly, side by side here, I don't think I can tell a difference. We're going to get re-lathered up, and I'll be right back, and we'll do some cross passes. And we're back from lathering up. I can tell you this, that was extremely close, very comfortable shave from both of these razors. I can say this, I think the performance has been impacted from swapping the parts over. I can't tell you if it's gonna be a good thing or a bad thing for you, but it does feel different on both sides. We're grabbing this one, and we're gonna see if taking this razor to the other side takes anything off. I don't anticipate or suspect it will. To be really honest, that other razor really shaves close with the V2 cap, surprisingly close. And that's how it was on the face. Very, very close, even though with the V1 cap and the V2 base plate. I was getting a very, very good shave with even slightly more blade fill than the original counterpart. Take a look here. This is the performance post-shave using the other swapped parts, right? The V1 cap with the V2 base plate. That is the performance and the results after. I still feel like it hugs the skin, maybe a little bit different, right? You probably have slightly reduced suction effect as with the new cap, but I can tell you this, the new base plate flows just so much better. I can even see it here where that lather is kind of not flowing as well as it would with the other razor, right? It would be way down here. I am seeing maybe a little bit, but I wouldn't call this performance because it could be just built up stuff that I haven't got out of that base plate. Because like, look at this thing. You can see in here, there is some stuff kind of built up in there. I can't clean out. I'll have to disassemble the razor. We're grabbing ourselves the other one now that does flow really well. We're going to use that V2 base plate with the V1 cap and check it out on this side. We're going to see if there's any differences. Oh man, both razors just glide so nicely, effortlessly, and just so nice. Look, I really like both razors. Even in this format, right? I could use these either or and be happy with the shave. And this is part of the problem, right? I think everybody that's picking these up now is realizing, holy goodness, they really do shave very, very close and very comfortably and super easy, right? They set that angle for you. It's a zero thought, zero effort, and absolutely mild shave for a lot of performance, right? This right here with the base cap, with the top cap, the V1 top cap, very, 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 very mild, but extremely close. Look at this. I cannot get any traction on my head at all. Wow. Beautiful regardless on both sides. I don't really believe this razor is taking anything off of the other side. I feel like they shave very, very close. Very, very, very close when you side by side them. Maybe slightly. Okay. Maybe slight a performance on the back of my neck, but that's the kind of difference I was getting on my face. It was so similar. I was having a really hard time kind of comparing them side by side. Overall, great shave, very close, very comfortable, very easy, and honestly, something you could enjoy every single day. I really, really, really like that a lot. Wow, talk about a zero nick, zero irritation, even after doing all that over shaving, right? All those extra passes. We are still absolutely BBS beyond and no irritation. This is smooth, this is comfortable, and this is skin that you can be proud of. Oh, this is awesome. As a bald man, I approve. I really like that razor, and this today has smelled just absolutely fantastic. Affogato by Hoffman. I love this one. Smells absolutely fantastic. I really believe that if you're looking for a coffee scent, right, it has a little bit of vanilla, it has a little bit of cream. Look no further. It is awesome. It smells just like you've been in a coffee shop all day drinking lattes. It really is great. Has excellent performance and projection. And on top of that, wow, it makes your skin just feel so nice. Again, Hoffman's shave soap. Check it out. Definitely worth looking at. They're, I think, a really underrepresented brand as far as wet shaving goes. You don't see them very often, but I do believe they make fantastic software. Great shave today from both of these razors. I'm thrilled to have both of them in the den. Honestly, these are never leaving rotation. I love them. They're fantastic stainless steel lifetime razors, right? And right now the V2 razor is going out of stock like crazy, right? He's selling them as fast as he can make them, honestly. So he has recommended that you jump on his webpage and you subscribe to his mailer, right? Because he is sending that out before they're doing updates to the inventory. So you'll have an update and information as soon as it's ready to be bought, it'll hit your email. So I would highly recommend subscribing for alerts over there if you're really interested in the V2 razor. I love both of these. And again, thank you for being here. If you haven't, please go below, smash that sub button. I'd love to talk to you in the comments. And until I see you guys again, I'm going to get out and enjoy a perfect shave with these razors. I'll see you in the next one. Soups out.